Men are forsaking their God-given role as spiritual leaders often. Of course, there's wonderful men out there, wonderful churches. But overall, what you see, the climate in our nation is simply reflected in the climate of the homes. As the homes go, so go the nation. And on Father's Day, I wanted to be real encouraging, but God also convicted me to be a little convicting. I wanted to read something to you. I actually just printed it up this morning. I couldn't get it off my mind the whole morning worship. This is statistics on fatherless children in America. The most recent statistics. Young men who grow up in homes without fathers are twice as likely to end up in jail. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 80% of all children that exhibit behavioral disorders, 85% come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts, fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from, you guessed it, fatherless homes. I'm surprised they put this, but they did. Confused identities. Boys who grow up in father-absent homes are so much more likely to be confused about their gender. And we see this huge movement. Much of what you're seeing is not necessarily something that's really happening inside. It's a movement. It's in fashion to switch identities. It's trendy. Hollywood's doing it. Well, why shouldn't we? Well, if Hollywood's doing something, well, I should be careful here. There's people here that work in Hollywood. Up in the balcony, I notice some of you as well. But you know what I'm saying. We need godly people in all areas of service, Hollywood to state officials. The likelihood that a young male will engage in criminal activity actually doubles when the father's gone. And I remember something, it's not on here, but a while back when I looked into this, rape, the percentage of rape increases dramatically, displaced anger in fatherless homes. Do you see a trend here? I could really have the tears start crying flowing if you want me to read the statistics on how it affects daughters. Teen pregnancy skyrockets, promiscuity. You know what really promiscuity is? They're looking for something that should have been fulfilled at home in a genuine relationship. Not the sexual aspect, don't misunderstand, but something that a father holding them and saying, you're worth something, I value you, I love you, and investing in them and building that relationship. Then they don't go outside and look for that necessarily. Of course, there's exceptions to any rule. The deep emotional wounds, I read a few letters online that daughters wrote to their fathers, and it was painful. The hurt, the abandonment, the percentage of them that they feel devalued, the suicide result, the percentages of women because of fatherless homes, it's skyrocketing. So it is a call to men primarily this morning. And I know what a lot of people are thinking. I've said this before, and I actually preached on this a few years ago, that our excuse is, well, I'm not absent. I'm still around. And I heard something 20 years ago that was still stuck with me. The preacher said, you don't have to leave home to be an absent father. That's really what's happening in our nation. You don't have to leave home to be an absent father. You can be absent emotionally, physically, of course, spiritually. How many fathers are absent spiritually? It's a battle. Trust me, I could be sitting in the audience right now. It's for me to pull four little rascals around and try to do a devotional, it's like, I'll just get a root canal. But it's hard because the enemy is working overtime. So it is a call to men, even to women, fight. Fight for your families. Well, my kids are growing up. No, you can intercede. You can intercede for our grandchildren need your prayers like never before. and I try not to think about it too much, but if you think about where we're going and what kind of world your children are going to be, your grandchildren are going to be living in, that should motivate us to pray. And it's a very hard balance because on one hand, we feel the passion, we feel the concern, but we also should have tremendous joy because the darker it is, the lighter the light shines. And trusting God, God, you're going to see my kids through this. If we would talk about the Roman Empire in the days of Paul, you would be shocked at some of the things that happened there. This is not uncommon what's happening in our culture. So what I want to do is I'm going to talk about, well, before I do that, I wrote this down this morning, so I want to share this with you. Men don't have to leave home to be absent. Here's how they're absent in many areas. They're either focusing so much on sports or hobbies or work or themselves. And I know it's difficult because sometimes I get home, it's like, this is daddy time. This is daddy day. I need what? To do whatever and self. But sometimes we have to put self on the back burner. Quite often, actually, we need to. And start to focus on our grandkids and on our kids and on our spouses. Invest in them. This is a spiritual battle. I love what Vance Havner said. He said, salvation is a helmet, not a nightcap. Think about that. Salvation, when you are saved, men and women, you are saved to do battle. And what's happening is the church is cowering back and becoming passive and a doormat, and we don't want to battle. Salvation, we're saved, just leave us alone. It's not a nightcap, it's a helmet, it's a call to battle. When Paul gives the image of spiritual warfare, he doesn't paint a very passive picture. Put on the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, the belt of truth, and shod. Cover your feet with the preparation of the gospel, and put on the helmet of salvation. That tells me I'm going to battle. And let me remind you, it's a daily battle. Not a weekly battle, not a monthly battle. It's a daily battle. Every day we need to wake up and say, Lord, put this armor on. I'm going to battle for my children and for others and for my spouse and for our marriage and for our nation. Oh, if God's people would just call out, if my people would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I'll hear their prayers. I'm convinced that God will hear our prayers.